Let's go. All right. I just climbed from down there to the first part of the water tower. I've just got more to go. This is just the beginning. All right, I'm up at the very base of the bulb. That is the entrance to the bulb. And this is a little valve. I am now in the bulb. Woo! I am on top. I am on top of Dina. Holy fuck. Holy shit.
The Mindfield entered my life at the perfect time. Or, I guess it would be more accurate to say it re-entered my life. I spent most of my childhood growing up in the small town of Brownsville, Tennessee. I would see the Mindfield every time I rode with my parents down Main Street. I did not understand what it was or who made it, and I never paid it much attention. Despite its enigmatic nature, I was too young to engage with it beyond a surface level of acknowledgement. As my family eventually moved away from Brownsville and I stopped reminiscing about my old home, my memory of the sculpture faded. Years later, as an adult in my 20s, I would find myself back in my old hometown for a few days, and there I rediscovered the Mindfield. I sat and stared at it, analyzing its various parts, attempting to decipher its symbols, trying to read the banners of text that pivoted in the wind 100 feet in the air. And I became enamored with it. As a kid, I may not have thought much of it, but now, I recognized it as one of the greatest and most complex works of art that I have ever seen. It was a shining example of human creativity, growing right in the middle of a town where you would least expect to find it. I felt an immediate personal connection with it. As a movie-loving, head-banging kid growing up in the rural South, I always felt out of place in my home. The Mindfield's harsh metal shapes towering in the skyline stuck out like a Gothic cathedral in a town full of wooden churches. It was like nothing else in Brownsville. It was out of place, it reflected the way I felt my entire life, and it was calling me to uncover its secrets. I had to know everything about it. Who made it? Why did he make it? Why don't I ever hear people talking about it, or recognizing it as a national achievement residing in Tennessee? As usual, I searched for answers online. But information was scant. I learned that the man who built the Mindfield was named Billy Tripp, that he intended to expand it until he was no longer physically able, and that many of its components were symbols and dedications to events and people in his life. But I needed to know more, and the fact that answers were not easy to find only made me more interested in finding them. Over months, I occasionally searched the web to see if I could further satisfy my curiosity. My search eventually led me to the YouTube channel of the drone videographer Ken Herron. Ken Herron has made occasional drone videos about the Mindfield since 2016.
How many feet up was that you just climbed?
Probably about 120, maybe.
Through his channel, I learned that not only did Tripp build the Mindfield, he also wrote an entire series of books about it. And, as luck would have it, Ken Herron was actually hosting a drone meetup at the Mindfield in August, just a few weeks away, with suggestions that Billy Tripp would be in attendance. So, I bought 2 of Tripp's books on Amazon and RSVP'd for the meetup with plans to travel back to my old hometown of Brownsville and meet Billy Tripp. I had a burning desire to make something about his work. I didn't know for sure what form it would take in the end, but I knew I had to do something. People needed to know about this sculpture, and I wanted to tell them about it. So there I was at Ken Herron's drone meetup, feeling nervous, unsure, and scared. Over the past year, I had grown to idolize the man who built the Mindfield. I looked up to him. He was my hero. And I had never met anyone who I admired this much less meet them with the explicit purpose of proposing a documentary about them, a type of project which I've never even made in the first place. But before the end of the day, I found myself standing face to face with him. At first, he seemed unsure and even uninterested in the prospect. But I kept talking to him, and he eventually understood my purpose in making a documentary. He gave me his phone number and said he'd consider it. And that answer was all I needed. Over the next few months, I read and took notes on all 7 of his books. Meanwhile, he spent the winter writing an 8th, which I am now reading as I write this script. Beginning in December and through February, I conducted interviews, talking to people who know Billy Tripp, his friends, his family, as well as experts in outsider and folk art. Now, I spend every weekend with Mr. Tripp as I film his working process towards erecting the next massive piece of the Mindfield.
Around the middle of it, it has it looks like a walkway. It's probably a brace to help keep it round. And that's what those pieces are.
Every day, I'm thankful for the opportunity to spend time with someone who I consider to be one of the most talented artists currently living.
To indicate that there's more than just a knock at the door, or what you get at the door to a house. If there's a whole life being lived inside that house.
Undertaking this journey has been the greatest and most rewarding experience of my life. It's been intimidating and a massive challenge, but there's nothing else I'd rather do. When the Mindfield found its way back into my life, I felt very unfulfilled. I was looking for more out of life, more meaning, more belonging, more opportunities, more challenges, and more purpose. And I found all of them in the work of Billy Tripp.
Well, if you hang with me long enough, you'll see me really fuck something up, and you'll get a chance to hear me say, "Billy, damn it!"
There have been many coincidences since I started down this path, and one of them was that meeting Billy Tripp was not the only leap of faith I took that weekend. The next day, I jumped out of an airplane. A lot of people asked me if I was scared, and my answer was always no. There was no 100% guarantee that I would survive the jump unscathed, but I wanted to do it. I had decided to do it, and I wouldn't feel my life was complete without trying it. Besides, I had already taken the scariest jump of my life the previous day, and that had meant more to me than any death-defying stunt that may cause me physical harm. Just like jumping off that plane, I didn't know for sure what the outcome would be when I undertook the making of this film. But it was a risk I was and am willing to take, because it's something I wanted to do, something I needed to do, and I felt my life wouldn't be complete without trying to do it. The path I chose to walk has been difficult and taxing, but it's also been amazing, and part of walking it has been accepting the setbacks and obstacles of life, learning to work around them, and accepting imperfection as a beautiful part of what makes journeys worth taking and life worth living. No, I didn't know what was going to happen once I jumped off that plane, and I don't know what will happen now that I've started plummeting towards the existence of my film. But for the first time in my life, I am okay with that uncertainty.
Not sure how I'm gonna get down from here, but I'll make it, I guess.